What's up, UB Football Podcast? Brad Ryder along with Scott Wilson as we are. It's been a while. It's been a week or so since we've talked to you. At last check, we had just found out. In fact, we recorded and I was about to publish, and then we found out that the Bulls were going to the Bahamas Bowl to face Liberty on January 4th. So we did a quick little thing about that and then tacked that on at the front of the episode. But now we're here, settled in, understanding. Scott's already been Hawaiian shirt shopping. We're ready to go. Is there a difference between Bahamian shirt and Hawaiian shirt? Is there anything I need to know?
I don't know. Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Is there such thing as a Bahama shirt?
Well, Tommy Bahama makes stuff or made stuff, so that makes me think there might be something else. But I mean, tropical maybe. Is tropical, right?
Yeah, I was more just going tropical.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm How
many did you buy?
3 Hawaiian shirts, and I'm ready to go.
3. I have one. I might have mentioned this last time. I wore it once in the Bahamas, and then I wore it once when I was emceeing a meat raffle for Little League Baseball, or something like that, a high school baseball team, or something like that. I've worn it twice, but it will come out. It's going in the suitcase, and it will be on display at least once. I'm not buying another one. I'm just going to go with the same one because they should win this time, right?
Who?
The UB Bulls.
Yeah, we won last time in the Bahamas.
We did win. That's right. We had the trophy. We carried the trophy. We held it up.
Yeah, we carried the trophy home.
That's right. And I forgot about that. All right. Yeah,
we beat Charlotte.
We got pictures of us with the trophy.
Yes. You're thinking of the Dollar General Bowl.
I am. It's, yeah. Well, the fact that we have not attended the last 2 bowl games that have taken place, and it's about 5 years, and it's back to the Bahamas. It's consecutive trips for us. Pretty cool. I don't know. I'm excited about the whole thing, but I'm also watching as the Liberty roster is kind of vanishing before our eyes.
Yeah, and this is one of the, we talked a little bit last time about there being a nice advantage to having this game be played after January, which not only gives you the practice time, but it also, takes it easy on some of that practice time. It really lets the coaches go out and worry-free, have some of this recruiting time and the opportunity to close up the last recruiting class, and then, kind of go out and scout and see what the deal is in the portal and get some of those taken care of before they even really need to start clamping down on a bowl opponent, as opposed to Western Michigan, who has already played their bowl game. So it's a nice little benefit there. And I don't know for sure. It's got to be a nice little benefit for the Bulls in the fact that, hey, listen, if you want to go to the Bahamas, I wouldn't go in the portal.
Right.
It's a free almost week in the Bahamas at a great resort. So there's that. And the Bulls right now are one of the few teams in the conference that have a really low number of players in the portal. I believe it's 4 or 5 right now for the Bulls, and that's right there in the top 2 or 3 teams in the conference of retaining people. So that's a nice little start and a nice little bump. But Liberty, on the other hand, has seen a bit of an exodus, none bigger than their starting quarterback, Keaton Salter, who we know well. We saw him last time that we played Liberty. We saw him at UB Stadium, and he looked like John Elway.
Yeah.
Like he ripped the Bulls apart. It was one of the more impressive visiting quarterback performances that I can really remember us seeing. Salter, I remember us thinking, this guy's good. He started at Auburn, didn't work out there, transferred, went to Liberty, and then ended up getting a good match with Jamie Chadwell, the former Coastal Carolina coach, who now the Bulls, despite never being in the conference with them, will have seen a Jamie Chadwell coach team 4 times.
That's weird.
In the last 5 or 6 years here. And it was a good match, and he was electric, and then the Liberty ended up last year going undefeated and getting into a major bowl game. So now, I mean, they got stomped in the bowl game, but still, that's not the point. For these group of 5 teams, it's what happens in that bowl game isn't really as important as making it. So, he looked great last year, and he is taking the success that he's had and is rolling it on now. And today has announced that he is going to Colorado with Coach Prime. So, the Bulls will not have to face him. And then their quarterback room in general is kind of up in the air, where their backup declared for the portal, but I think is playing, and they convinced him to play because the third stringer who was going to be playing got injured in practice. And so that's up in the there. There's another freshman quarterback there, but they don't really want to play him. And it's kind of been a mess there at quarterback. And they've had, I don't have the full list right here in front of me, but they have had a long list of impactful players that have entered the portal across the line on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
So that's certainly going to be something where it's going to be a bit of an advantage as far as turnover is concerned in favor of the Bulls. And, again, not having the quarterback there who last time that they faced him was incredible is nice. On the other hand, whoever they are going to throw in there will have 30 days to prepare for one team in one game. So, yes, there will be a little bit of inexperience there. However, he will be fully first-team reps prepared. This isn't, going into the last week of the season and you're losing your quarterback. This is, you get a month off to play with whoever you're going to figure out to take in the new role. So, it goes both ways with that for the Bulls.
Two things I'm encouraged about. One, as we watch the Bulls down the stretch, I think we would agree that generally speaking, they were getting better week to week. And the quarterback play was getting better week to week. And that tells me they're practicing well. And now it's a month between games. I would expect a lot to get done during that time frame. And the other thing is, I also think that the Bulls not having many players in the portal is partially a result of, I can enter the portal on January 5th and go to the Bahamas, because that would work out. But then you see what's going on with Liberty, and that same thing isn't in effect there. So maybe they are fairly safe. All the chaos that's happening in college football hasn't really touched the Bulls too much, but it has touched the opponents that would have the same reasons for players to not jump in the way that the Bulls want to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah, and, listen, it's not a great, from everything that I've seen, I don't think it's that great of a college experience going to Liberty. The benefits of being a high-class football player at a Christian college.
Tell me you're not big on eternal salvation?
Like an uber Christian televangelist college.
Yeah.
I don't think they're I think it's very different. I don't think that you can go to school there if you have a roommate of a different sex, that type of thing. I don't think that they're allowed to party in the same room, that type of thing, as far as the code of conduct, which is going to make it interesting considering our hotel is based above a casino.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to
That'll be
see
fun to
who
track.
of their players, right, who of their players will be willfully disobeying the rightful word of God when we are there. But, I think that there's a little bit of an incentive there for some of the players to jump out. And I really think that Coach Lembo and the staff there have done a really good job of, doing something similar to what Coach Leipold did, which is they've got a little bit of a family atmosphere thing going on there. And the guys that are here have kind of bought in and really like what's going on, and they like the success. I think it's proven on the field. And, they've done a good job of making everybody feel important. And when that happens, guys are tempted to stick it out and keep trying and keep going. And I think that makes a big difference. And plus, I think a lot of the guys who that are new there, that got big opportunities this year, have really stepped up and shown like, wow, all right. So they've made a big impact this season, and they've been able to turn the corner and get there with the coaching that they've gotten. So it's, it's a free trip to the Bahamas, but also I think, a credit to the staff and the atmosphere that's around there because, there's an advantage to wanting to stick around.
Yeah,
There's an advantage to wanting to stick around and play.
if you're treated well anywhere, you're more inclined to return there. And it's pretty simple. And you can tell that this team is being treated well and respectfully, and you buy in, good things happen, and then you see it actually work. It's very obvious that the culture is right now at UB. I do fear we might hear a couple more names thrown in there after the trip is over, but
but I'm
not scared out of my mind about it.
There's a spring window too. There's a spring window too where things could happen, and listen, you get one of these big major schools, where if in spring practice Purdue loses 3 guys to ACL injuries in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, and they show up with a checkbook. Yeah.
Right. There's going to be money thrown around at somebody. And that's just, look at Isaiah Wright went through all of spring practice. And, come kickoff, he was the left tackle for the Maryland Terrapins. So, there's still an opportunity. And, as much as I want everybody to stay, it's hard to look at Isaiah Wright and say, hey, will you please turn down this 6-figure opportunity that you can make to stay here for your senior season? It's hard to do that. It's hard to match that. So there is always the threat of that on the horizon. But as of right now, going into the bowl game, with very few exceptions, I think the Bulls are in a good position.
Aside from Peck, I think Peck might go into the broadcast portal shortly after the Bahamas trip. I'm hearing rumblings.
Well, certainly not before. Yeah, no, he's going. He's definitely gonna seek it out and see what's what.
Good for him.
I don't know who's paying out there, but he could be. I guess he could be up for movement.
What's your favorite stuff that's going on? We have this text thread going around with the 3 of us, you and me and Paul and John Fuller. Basically, it's a college football news feed that MAC fans would probably want to subscribe to if they could. We won't let you because there are things that are said there that are not meant for everyone. However, what are a couple of your favorite, most interesting things going on in the world of college football right now?
Well, Central brought in a new coach. They got Matt Drinkall. He was the offensive line coach for Army. He's not bringing the triple option, so that's great. I mean, that's perfect news. When I heard that they were hiring a guy from Army, I was like, "Oh my God, this could be devastatingly bad." But he's not. But he did bring in one of the best offensive coordinators in the FCS level from Eastern Washington, who has consistently put up top 10 offenses out there. So he's bringing him in, and they've got a new lease on life up there in Central, turning the page with their new coach. And, really across the conference right now, everybody's just trying to get into the portal. And it's interesting because right now, a lot of the guys that are on the radar for the Bulls are also on the radar for everybody else in the conference.
Sure.
So, this is one of those time periods right now where, you got to recruit. You got to recruit, and you might also see some situations where if some places have easy availability to money, it's going to be a big advantage for them. On the other hand, how about this? How about a name that we are very familiar with in Daquan Finn, who was the Offensive Player of the Year and left Toledo after they were in the championship game, went to 2 straight championship games with him, and went to Baylor. Well, he started the season in Baylor and got banged up and did not finish the season there. He was on the bench after the 3rd game or 4th game of the year.
4. It's in that range, yep.
Yeah, well, from everything I've seen, he is taking a visit to the University of Michigan to go up there and see what interest they might have, which would be interesting after Michigan is paying $12.5 million to an 18-year-old kid who is the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country in Bryce Underwood. That I don't know, maybe they view Finn as a guy who could come in and play a couple games and as a bit of a bridge quarterback. Or maybe they would just say, listen, if you'd like to play at Michigan, we're not going to play at quarterback, but you're so athletic that we'll find a spot for you. We can put you somewhere. I have a hard time believing that Michigan is going to be 1 year out from a national championship and having a quarterback drafted in the top 15 and then also paying all that money to go to DeQuan Finn, who can't throw to the left side of the field. So, or running to the left, but still interesting, still a name that we've seen out there. The Bulls had offered the Holy Cross Center, a guy that we have unfortunately seen a couple of years ago.
He won,
and was looking good. The guy got a bunch of offers. All of a sudden, he signed with Bill Belichick in North Carolina, which, if Bill Belichick's first signing is going to be anybody, you would feel very good about the odds of it being somebody from Holy Cross. It just seems very on brand for him. This is, he's at North Carolina, but taking Logan Mankins in the first round, where you're like, who the hell is that? And what are you doing? But so that's interesting. I think Bill Belichick in general is going to be very interesting because he is a different side to the same coin of Deion Sanders, where he has all the experience coaching, not college, not in the ACC, and it's different. And that could go both ways, as this could really work out to his benefit. Because if you think about it now, with the amount of money that's open and can be used in college sports, Belichick could really approach this if he wants to and wants to be aggressive and wants to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies in the recruiting aspect, where he could now say to himself, geez, when I was with the Patriots, I got one pick around. Mm-hmm. I got to pick the 23rd guy or the 27th guy
or the 32nd guy.
The 32nd guy was more often than not. And now instead he gets to say, if I got enough money, I can pick 7th, 9th, 13th, and 15th. And that sounds pretty good. It's just going to be a matter of, is he going to want to do it? Is he going to want to get out there and really beat the streets? And, as he's a mid-70s guy that's done everything with a 25-year-old girlfriend. I wouldn't leave home. Like, what are we talking about? But he wants to coach, and that's going to be the difference in college football. He can't sit in his office with his dog on his lap and draft guys by his computer anymore. He's going to have to really go out there and sell it. And I don't know, maybe he's changed. He's never come off as a guy that has wanted to do that before. So,
but he also never came off as a guy who was interested in speaking out loud until the past year, where he's just been practicing talking
everywhere, right?
Everywhere he can. And I'm thinking about the kind of edge, like Pete Lembo gets in touch with me because my college kid is a prospect. I'm like, oh, cool, Buffalo. I've heard of Buffalo. Bull, okay. Yeah, I'll meet him. And he's a good guy, and he's impressive and whatever. But if you're somebody in their 40s, 50s, and you got a college-age kid, and Bill Belichick calls, I'm going to be home the day he shows up. I'm going to listen to what that dude has to say. And I think there is a built-in edge there in dealing with the dads, if nothing else, right? And the moms. Maybe not the moms because of the 25-year-old girlfriend, but the dads for sure. Like, yeah, I would try to follow in this guy's footsteps. So I think there is something built in there, but it is, it's interesting. The difference between him, what could he have reasonably made a jump to college 5 years ago? Probably not. But with everything changing in the landscape with the portal and NIL and all of that, it could just be North Carolina decided to buy the best team in America, or to try to, and it seems like that's the direction they're trying to go anyway. So that will definitely be interesting. It'll be fun. I think that one will be as closely monitored or more so than the Deion thing in Colorado. He's a bigger deal recently than Deion was. So it's like, I don't know, it's crazy.
The reason I say Dion is Dion had all the accolades players wise,
Right.
but he also doesn't do in-home visits. He doesn't he doesn't go see these guys. He doesn't go out recruiting. Like, he's Dion. I'm not hard to find. You come here. So, has that worked? Well, it worked when one of the guys was his own son.
Right.
And then became friends with Travis Hunter and brought him along. And then brought him out to Colorado. As far as anybody else that they've had out there, do you know anybody else on the team?
No.
I don't either. So it's going to be a big question mark as far as how far that goes. And the same as Bill Belichick. How much does the aura get you now? And Dion's at least in a bowl game this year, and they had a nice little run in the middle part of the season. But and while we're on the topic, I just want to say, Travis Hunter, really nice player, seems like a really nice kid. Should not have won the Heisman over Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
But we've had numerous ones of these conversations where we have talked about guys that are unbelievable that are not going to win the Heisman. The list of guys that came in second in the Heisman is insane. And Genty's season is up there with some of the best seasons from any player at any position all time. He would have already broken Barry Sanders' single season rushing mark if they hadn't pulled him in the third quarter in numerous games in the first half of the season. Like, they pulled him after he had 270 and 4 touchdowns because they were winning and they didn't want to get him hurt. If they had just played him and let him go out there, he would easily be over Barry's number. And I think if they can win a game in the playoffs, he's probably got to look at breaking it as it is. So I don't know. It's a shame for Genty. He, I don't know how much stock you put in like the PFF numbers, where they grade guys out, but they graded out the Heisman winners for the last 10 or 15 years. And the lowest graded person that they've got on that list is Travis Hunter. And what would have been the highest graded player of all of those people was Ashton Genty. So, he
they
really
agree with you.
Listen, right. Hunter, I think, is getting a lot of credit for total number of snaps played. So it's incredible that he has like 3 plays off a game. It really is.
Yeah.
It's great. But I think he's a very good corner, and I think he's a very good wide receiver. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's naming Ohtani. It's naming Ohtani
right,
MVP because it's because of the stunt casting part of it. There's a distinct advantage going in when people are like, watch this guy, he's going to be doing this. It worked for Charles Woodson too. He didn't play a ton of snaps on offense in whatever it was, 98. But the buzz was going all year. Look at this guy, and he's returning kicks, and now he's posing. And all right, I guess we'll give it to him this year. So it's one of those.
But at least Woodson had the marquee plays. Like when Woodson beat out Peyton Manning, you could at least point to 3 unbelievable Heisman-worthy plays. His team went undefeated and went to the Rose Bowl, and Peyton Manning lost their biggest game of the season against Florida. Like, there was at least a basis there. Genty was rolling up 200 yards a game. Like, the guy was averaging, for a large part of the season, was averaging 10 yards a carry. He had an incredible season. It stinks that he kind of had to go up against, like you said, an Ohtani-like unicorn, the one time that he could have won, and I think still should have, but Hunter's a really nice player. He's going to be a top 5 pick, so I guess you can't complain too much about it.
How does Genty's season match up if you sort of go pound for pound with Jarrett Patterson in 2020?
Ooh, you know what? I
bet it's close. I bet it's impressive. I mean, obviously it was impressive what he did, but I mean, it's kind of like that.
Genty never had a 400-yard game.
No, or 8 touchdowns in a game. Did he?
No.
Yeah. So no. I don't know. I think we saw a season like that, except it was basically 6 games long, and Nobody's at the games except us,
Right.
and we were playing in the MAC and all that sort of thing. But I bet, when talking about all-time great seasons, that one comes to mind pretty quickly, especially at the position of running back.
Oh, for sure.
Dolak is
Oh my
not
goodness, yes.
just Defensive Player of the Year, but UB's first ever AP All-American first teamer. He is a consensus All-American for the first time in UB history as well. And I like that the buzz is continuing to build on him, and I think that's going to be a positive for him in April.
Yeah, certainly well deserved. He was incredible, and I think he's going to set himself up in a really nice position for his pro day. He's got tape. The tape is there,
Yep.
and speaks for itself. So, it's well deserved. That's again another reminder of how ridiculous it is that Khalil didn't get first team All-American, but it's nice that the word is out. I also think it's cool that there are 3 MAC players that are first team All-Americans. So the conference was very well thought of and respected this year, and I think rightfully so. Overall, it's not the Big Ten, but there are, when you get to the top layer of players in the MAC, there are some real high level, top level talents there, and I think it's cool that they were able to get that recognition. It's good for the conference, obviously, and it's great for Dolak, who definitely deserved it. Statistically, probably the best single season we might have seen. I know Khalil's numbers are great too, but it's just a different way. Khalil, you could see other defenses panicking, and then I think with Sean, you could visibly see his impact on the game, because for whatever reason, whatever the other teams tried to do to him, it did not work. He was always there. He was all over the field. All the picks, the forced fumbles, the tackles for loss, it was all there for him this year, and he did a great job. And I think we should probably throw in there that it looks like, it's not official yet, but looks like the conference is going to actually be changing for the first time in a long time.
With Northern
Illinois, it looks like they have not made it official. I think that they are waiting a little bit here, but it looks like they are going to accept that invitation to the Mountain West. Football only, and then go and put all of the other sports in other smaller leagues like the Summit League or Horizon League or whatever it is out there. So, man, you thought those bus trips for Northern to Ball State were long. Wait till they have to go to Hawaii.
You want a real quick list of the top 10 things we're going to miss about DeKalb, Illinois?
Sure, yeah.
The barbecue place we went to once.
The barbecue place we went to once.
Indoor bocce,
same trip.
Yeah.
Indoor bocce.
I'm done. That's it.
Yeah, I think
my top 10 has
it.
2. I got nothing.
Yeah,
goodbye. Go.
Just far away enough from Chicago to not
be Chicago.
Cool.
You could see Chicago from your hotel room, but it's going to take you an hour to get there. Yeah, no, right. Nothing good. Flying to an airport nowhere near our hotel, and then staying at an airport or at a hotel near the real airport. I don't want to go there anymore. So I'm fine with that.
I'm interested to see how that plays out for them if they do decide to go. I just don't think the money that this Mountain West Conference is projecting that their next contract is going to get them, I don't think that's going to happen. They're losing their top 5 teams in the league.
Right. You're not signing up for the former Mountain West. You're signing up for a new...
They're not going in to play Boise State. That's not what they're signing up for. They're signing up for Wyoming, Reno, which is great. Yeah. But, they're not signing up for the 5 best teams in the conference. So I don't know what that next contract is going to look like compared to the MAC. I would assume it's going to be very similar. And then you're taking a downgrade in basketball and some of your other Olympic sports and stuff. So,
Why do they want them? Why does the Mountain West want them?
Because it gets them a team in the Central Time Zone.
Okay.
So that opens up when they go to negotiate the contract. They say that they now have another window open to put another game in.
All right.
So they for those Western teams, it's about getting an earlier window.
Okay.
So if you think about Mountain West games, they're not played at noon. Well, you could feasibly have a Northern Illinois game played at noon. It'd be 11 o'clock there, but there's a lot of 11 o'clock kicks across the country, especially in that Central Time Zone, and that's not an unusual thing. Or even at 1 o'clock, and not have, you try to do that at UNLV, it's a 9 a.m. kickoff. You're not going to do that. So it theoretically gives them another open television window to get into.
All right. So the short answer is because football is a television show, as we've talked about quite a bit. It's a TV show, and we can get into a different time slot. That makes sense. Unless you're the team that has to play all the rest of the games in a different time zone, which is, I don't know, it sounds crazy to me. Sounds like a bad idea to me. I didn't understand it when it was them and Toledo. Now that part seems to have settled down, but whatever. Fine. Go ahead. Get out. I want to mention one other thing before we go, and that is to congratulate our good friend T3, Tyree Jackson, signing a contract yesterday to join the practice squad with the Washington Commanders. It's been a pretty long, painful NFL road for Tyree Jackson, who has now, this will be his fourth team. Started with the Bills and now his third AFC or NFC East team. He goes to the practice squad there. He's a tight end still, but good to see that he has worked his way back again from injury to give himself another shot, and we're all excited for him and rooting for him there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, just kind of, he'll work himself up to get either right on the edge of the roster or actually on the roster, and then
make a catch and then break his back.
Right, and then get injured. He's had a rough go of it, but I think it speaks to his character and also how hard he plays and his athletic ability that, he rehabs, he goes back, and another team is like, yes.
Yeah, he looked great.
I'll absolutely take that. I think for me, as a New York Giants fan, I was ecstatic that he was on the Giants, and I'm really upset because I feel like he probably, this season, with all of the injuries and the debacle at quarterback, he probably would have played last week at quarterback.
Yep. I know.
He was being talked about being played at quarterback right before the injury in preseason because there was a Drew Lock got banged up. And they were kind of in between quarterbacks, and they hadn't brought anybody else in, and he was going to be like the second half, fourth quarter guy to get him through. And he was familiar with Daboll's system because obviously he came out of college and was there when Daboll was at Buffalo. He probably would have had a shot at at whipping the ball around. And there's absolutely no way he's not better than Tim Boyle. I can tell you right now he's better than Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
Who is this guy who was terrible in college, and who would have thought that he'd be also terrible in the pros?
It's better than Daniel Jones too. Let's be realistic here.
Right. He's way more fun than Daniel Jones. I can vouch for that. Yeah. So I'm frustrated for that. I mean, they had to do what they had to do, obviously because of his injury. But listen, he's still number one for me. He's still my favorite guy, my favorite player, and I'm excited that he's going to get another shot, even though it's in the division again.
Yeah, it's weird.
I can't get him on like the Steelers or something like that. It's always has to be in my division, but regardless, that's awesome for him.
Yeah, and I, like you, want to see him succeed at tight end, but I'm also waiting for the day where accidentally somebody's got to try him at quarterback, and then he throws a rocket 70-yard touchdown to whatever, Malik Neighbors it would have been, whoever it is, whatever, Terry McLaurin. And people have to look at him and go, wait a minute. Wait, this guy was a quarterback in high school? I mean, he's huge, but can he play? Because that was awesome. I want the world to get, even if it's one play, if it's one game ever, I want the world to see that this guy can do that.
Yeah, I like Daboll and Shane. It might it might be the death knell if it turns out that their best quarterback was a tight end for them.
Yeah.
After all this time, if he comes in there and starts ripping the ball around, so maybe because I like them, maybe it's better off that he didn't get that opportunity. But still, yeah, I mean, he was electric, and I'm sure that people, it's been long enough now that people probably don't realize he was a great quarterback in high school, led his team to the championship game in Michigan, and then he came and did the same thing at UB. Showed up, learned, and got to 10 wins in pretty short order, and led the turnaround of our program, just like he led the turnaround of his high school program, starting right from the freshman. So, I have no doubt that he could have done it, but there's no patience in the NFL anymore. So,
right.
I think that we're seeing that a little bit with some of these guys like Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, who aren't great quarterbacks, but are getting a shot 6 years in, and suddenly everyone's like, oh, they were good. It's like, no, they weren't good, but now they're 6 years experienced.
Right. They've been practicing.
They've been practicing
the whole time.
They kept getting shots and they kept getting better, and that's what they needed. That's what, Sam Darnold should have gone back to another year of college. He would have been a totally different player in the NFL. But, I think that if Tyree had gotten that opportunity, I absolutely believe he would be in that same type of situation where he just needed to grow a little bit. But
here we are
with his size and athletic ability. And he said, okay. And he moved to tight end. And after he's done that, he's always been on a team. So
yep.
It's still exciting to watch and see him get out there and compete and put together a nice little, although injury riddled, still a nice little career for himself.
All right. So we typically do these podcasts in the middle of the week. Because typically games are on Saturdays. The middle of next week is going to be Christmas, and then the middle of the following week we're already going to be in the Bahamas. So the next time you hear from us, unless something crazy happens,
Christmas Day, high noon.
Yeah. Okay. No, it'll be it'll probably be early January. We head down January 1st, and I would imagine we'll be doing all sorts of both audio and video podcast stuff down there. Here's how I know it. Coverage of the Bahamas Bowl is presented by Bezroy Roofing and Siding, official home remodeling partner of UB Athletics, family owned and operated by UB alumni and former student athletes, offering roofing, siding, windows, deck, and doors. Visit them at bezroyroofing.com. They are on board as our Bahamas Bowl sponsor, and that means more content. It means a little extra pressure so we don't get lazy hanging out by the pool and the beach and all that stuff, and we're actually providing and making ourselves useful on the trip. So there's going to be a lot of that between Scott and I, and Paul will be involved, and I bet John Fuller will be involved, and players will be involved, and we'll hook up with Pete Lembo and Mark Allnut and everybody. But we're going to cover this thing. Yes, it is a little mini vacation, but it's a working vacation. We're bringing all the stuff. We're going to record a lot. We'll do live stuff. We'll do all kinds of stuff. But be sure to keep an eye on us and also on the official UB feed, the official UB football and UB athletics feeds for more content from that week leading up to the Bahamas Bowl, which takes place on January 4th. We good?
Yeah, no, you're right. we've mapped out some stuff that we can get done, and I think it's going to be fun. And we'll have obviously the regular updates every day of how the bowl prep is going, what the guys are up to down there, but also, hopefully, we'll have some fun stuff with players and us, and
I smell an award
recapping, recapping a little bit of the season, but also letting everybody know what the deal is down there and having some fun with the players as they get to have some fun down there. So, hopefully, we'll have some good stuff for everybody. But it's 2 weeks away here. Can't wait to get down there in the sun. I just looked the other day, and it's. I think I looked for this week. The high is 78.
Perfect.
And the low is 74. And that's
looking for is consistency.
Yeah. So, that's what we're looking for. And if it sticks with that, we're going to be definitely very happy. But yeah, we should have some fun stuff coming up.
All right. Sounds good, man. See you there.
All right. See you there.